All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, well, it wouldn't be a Friday show where we needed all of our technology to work without a little technical glitch. So we started a little bit late today. I know people are going to be tuning in. I'm going to go ahead and get the comments fired up. We've got folks that are checked in already. It's going to be a really great episode. And there are several things that I want to accomplish today. Obviously, this is going to be all about our legislative questions. Let's check in with Roy. Roy, are you there? Can you say hi to the group?
Hello, everybody. I'm here. It's a beautiful day here in Round Rock, Texas. The weather's nice. The sun is shining, and I'm indoors. I'm with y'all, and nowhere else I'd rather be.
All right, Roy. We may come back to you in a little bit, but you know what? I've got this microphone on, Roy, but I don't think it's working. So I'm just going to take it off and set it over here. Audio's still good, Roy. Everything's perfect. You can take that as a yes.
Yep, everything's good. I
All
still
right.
hear you loud and clear. I don't think that mic was connected,
Yeah, I
so
don't think it's connected. So
you could throw it across the room and it would be fine.
don't tempt me, Roy. Don't tempt me. Uh, Congratulations, all of our active school employees, on a great year for our public schools. A special shout out to Nicole and Ryan Lee. Ryan is our last one who's still at Dripping Springs High School. And he is an excellent all A student at Dripping Springs on the basketball team. A chip off the old block, if I would say so myself, Roy. And of course, Nicole is a teacher at Dripping Springs Elementary School. Last day of school for so many folks. I really liked our social media post about thanking our active school employees. I don't say just teachers, because it takes every person who works for our public schools to make that school year a success, as all of you tuning in today can attest. And so congratulations to all of our schools that are finishing up this great year and already looking forward to next. It was the conversation yesterday that I had with my wife about how this school year has ended, and she's already thinking about setting up her classroom for next year. It just is nonstop. Our teachers work nonstop. So thank you, everybody, for that. And if you have any special shout outs that you want to do in the comments to people that you know who are actively teaching, maybe you've got a son or a daughter, a family member who's working and this is their final day, just go ahead, put it in the comments. Let them know that you said congratulations on a great school year. I'd be happy to see those. Love to see those in the comments today. It'll make me feel pretty good. So I am having a great day. I'm feeling excellent. This is something that has been asked for and we have been promising. And it's always a question of timing. And I want to give some suggestions about, what's going on here today. What are the show today is all about the questions that you can ask those seeking elected office, particularly people who are running for the Texas legislature. I believe, are on the last day of early voting for this runoff. So we've gone through our primaries, we're going through our runoff. Everybody in TRTA knows that when you're a member of this organization, we are focused on purpose. What do we want to get accomplished for the members and for all TRS participants, active school employees, what we call pre-retirees, our retired school employees. We want to achieve retirement security. And we want to know that the people that are seeking your vote are with us when it comes to retirement security for our TRS retirees and pre-retirees. So we're going to do the show today about the questions that you can ask. And then the next show that we're going to do are some of the major areas of information that you can take to elected officials about our major issues. And so it's going to be 2 back-to-back great shows, and I'm glad you're here. So let's spend some time talking about these questions. A couple of ground rules and important pieces of information. When we developed these questions, we designed them so that you would have many options of things that you might want to ask when it comes to your elected officials. We are not looking for endorsements from TRTA. TRTA does not make endorsements. We do not have a political action committee. We have very active chapters. We are high voter turnout group. And so our power is not in whether or not we can write big checks. Our power is derived from the fact that our members are engaged, they're educated. We do this business a different way than what a lot of other groups are doing today. We do not constantly engage in whether or not team red or team blue is good or bad. We want to work with everybody. We think a vibrant teacher retirement system and retirement security for our TRS members is important, whether you're playing on whatever political side you want. So I got plenty of friends that are Republicans, plenty of friends that are Democrats. We want to have folks that are committed to retirement security for our TRS members. In order for that to be a positive result, I am asking that you all wear the jersey and go and vote. When you think about being in the game, hey, coach, put me in. The most important thing that you can do as a TRTA member is being a consistent voter during all elections. So it's the end of the early voting. If you did not get a chance to vote, go and vote. And I'm very disappointed that I saved my I voted sticker for this show and I forgot it out in the truck. So I'm not going downstairs to get it. We're just going to keep on rolling. Your guide on these questions is pretty easy. Let's say, for example, you are a chapter president. All of you TRTA chapter presidents might want to pay attention to this. You can look at the questions that we've developed and you can set up a candidate forum where you invite the candidates that are running for the state Senate seat or the state rep seat in your area. Ask them to come to your chapter. If they decline, that's okay. You know, they can send a staff person, they can send somebody. They can do what they want to do. It's their campaign choice to do it. They don't have to come at all. And if they want to provide some written responses, that, you know, you should share those with your members. So long as you're always fair in inviting all the candidates as we go into the general election process here, and you want to set up a candidate forum, just make sure you invite the candidates. And then you can design these questions in a way that will facilitate your candidate forum. Like I said, we're throwing a bunch of questions out there for you to be able to use. Do you have to use all of these questions? Absolutely not. You can pick the ones that you believe might be of most interest to your members for your event. I would recommend that you go ahead and give these questions in advance to anybody who's showing up at your candidate forum. So it's important that we're fair. It's important that we're good communicators. And it's important that we provide opportunities for these questions to be asked and answered. So just to recap, we're going to give you a lot of questions. You do not have to write these questions down. As a matter of fact, I believe the communication that I've set up here is that we are going to email these questions out to everybody, or let you go and find them on your own, download them, and then you can use them as you're talking to folks running for office. Now, we have both state elected officials and questions on our legislative agenda. And we also have some questions for those who are seeking congressional federal seat. So if you're running for U.S. Senate candidate from Texas, for example, or if you're running for a congressional seat, there are some specific questions that you might want to ask those folks that are running for what role. And again, we're giving you as many of them as we can, so that way you can pick and choose which ones you may want to use. Now, chapter presidents, I singled you out a second ago. I want to go ahead and remind our chapter presidents that next Tuesday at 3 p.m., we are going to have the next TRTA town hall for our chapter presidents. So if you're able to join us for a more dialogue-centered conversation with our chapter presidents, TRTA chapter presidents, please mark your calendars for next Tuesday at 3 p.m. Now, you may be sitting there thinking, hey, Tim, I'm not a chapter president. I am a TRTA member, and I'd like to still have these questions so that I can find out what's going on. Great. You're going to be able to get those. We're going to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to take a look at them. The way TRTA works is we have our state association, we have our districts, we have our chapters. And we have filtered out these questions already to our state association leaders, our state legislative committee, and some other folks so that they have them. And we all need to work together over the next several weeks and months so that we get ready to have an excellent turnout and build a strong commitment as we move closer and closer to the legislative session. I cannot believe that we're already at the point where we're getting ready for that next legislative session. I'm excited. It is going to be a TRS session. There are going to be big issues that we're going to be talking about with the teacher retirement system next legislative session. So everybody watching this today, please communicate to each other how important it is for folks to get their dues paid, get renewed, be active, sign up for the Inside Line. I was talking to our incoming state association president today. She was telling me that there is a chapter that she has recently visited, and they have over 150 retirees from that one ISD. And that, I believe, is going to be the case all over the state. So leaders in TRTA, many new members are potentially out there for us to talk to. Let's find them. Let's talk to them. Let's get our message delivered that we need their help and that we have a lot to offer. We have a lot to offer in our community, which is the TRTA. So comments are open. I'm going to go through some of these questions. Roy, I don't know if we have these questions teed up to put on the screen or not. There we go. And so from time to time, I'm going to hit on a few of these questions, and then we'll come off the screen. I'll talk about them a little bit. But to make sure that y'all know that there's a flow that we're going through here, we have divided them into sections. And the first section that we have is protecting TRS and the traditional defined benefit plan. Roy, I know Roy's working with Zooming to make sure that we all can see what's going on. So my screen is pretty small. My hope is that y'all's screen is a little bit bigger. But I do have the questions in front of me too, Roy, so I think we should be good. But the way these are designed, the way these questions are designed is so that you can take them exactly as they are and have a candidate just see them, be asked, and then provide an answer. Now, the objective today is to not only go through these questions, but to go through some of the answers that we're looking for. So I have a lot of folks that watch these shows. If you work for an elected official and you want to have a more in-depth overview of some of these questions and what they're tied back to, TRTA is happy to do that. If you're a candidate seeking office and you want to know more about the Texas Retired Teachers Association, then you can contact us as well through our social pages, as well as TRTA, info@trta.org. So First question that we have here under protecting TRS and traditional defined benefit plan: when making decisions regarding proposed legislation, who will be your advisors on public education issues, including teacher retirement system issues? And this may include, but not limited to, not-for-profit groups, think tanks, people, or experts. Roy, take me off of those questions just for a minute. Why would TRTA ask a question like this? Well, believe it or not, everyone, we've said it on this show before. We're going to continue to say it. There are other groups that are countering the messaging that we are trying to deliver to our elected officials about the issues most important to us. If you're brand new to the TRTA, if you've been fighting these battles for a little bit, I just want to let you know without any uncertainty, there are other groups, other think tanks, other individuals that may have a different message about TRS than what we're putting out there. We believe in our teacher retirement system. We believe that it was created in 1937 with a few $1 million, and it's grown into this massive pension trust fund, and with $200 billion in pension trust fund assets, that it's protecting the retirement security of 1.5 million Texans, and we want to make sure that it is maintained. And so if there are other groups that have counter messaging to that, I don't mind that elected officials have an open door to groups. I'm not saying that they shouldn't meet with them. I'm just wanting to make sure that we know that those elected officials are designating or telling us who their trusted resources are. Maybe we need to have a communication with some of those groups. Maybe we need to find a way to deliver our message back to them so that if there's a different point of view, we'll know what it is. So we would like to know what groups elected officials may be relying on when it comes to issues affecting our public education, particularly our public education system as it is aligned with the teacher retirement system of Texas. And that comes down to budgetary funding. A lot of that comes down to budgetary funding. Some of it comes down to political ideology. Some of these think tanks have a totally different philosophy on government spend. And I've been dealing with that for 30 years of this career that I've got. And so we have to find ways to work with those people and deliver our message in a more effective way. So the follow-up to that, Roy, you can go back to the questions. We're going to bang out a few of these because I've already spent a lot of time on this. We got a long way to go. The follow-up is, will you, if elected, commit to working with the TRTA on any and every issue related to TRS? When I was first hired by TRTA, one of the questions that I was asked in my interview is, what is your main objective for our association? And one of the answers that I gave, and I remember it, and this was back in 2004 at the Drury Inn on I-35 in Austin, Texas. One of the main responsibilities that I think that we have as an organization is that whenever an elected official is thinking about the teacher retirement system of Texas, and if any legislation, bill, funding decision, budgetary decision, whatever that is, if that comes up, the first thought they should have in their mind is, where do the members of the Texas Retired Teachers Association stand on this issue? I've got to know how my retired school employees and members of TRTA feel about what I'm about to vote on. So we want to know that that elected official or prospective elected official is going to commit to contacting us before any decision is made on a TRS matter. That is an objective that we have. And they may not listen to us and make a decision that is what we want. But so long as they're committed to talking to us and getting our perspective, that's their decision to make. But we want to know that we have an open door. We often say in this business, we want a seat at the table. And one of the best ways to ensure that we have a seat at the table is to know that the people that are in office are essentially demanding that our voice be heard. And that's one of the big questions. Number 3, are you in favor of continuing the TRS defined benefit structure of annuities? And then you'll see in parentheses, we have a little definition there based on a formula of years work times final average salary times a multiplier for all future, current, and retired educators. Are you in favor of continuing the TRS defined benefit structure? The whole reason, Roy will come off screen here in just a second. The big reason that TRTA was created in 1953 was because we wanted to protect the TRS defined benefit plan. TRS defined benefit plan was created 1937. It has essentially been the Social Security replacement designed to function outside of the Social Security system. It stands on its own. Does not mean that people do not go out and work 2 or 3 other jobs because they have to and they earn Social Security benefits, which we fought for years and years to win our full rights and access and privileges under the Social Security system when we repealed weapon GPO, and we won that battle. But we also know that the TRS defined benefit plan was created right around the same time as Social Security, and we've been protecting it ever since. We do not want our defined benefit plan changed, and we have been pushing that issue, and we have successfully worked as an organization with elected officials over years and years to guard against the changing of the defined benefit plan. I posted this question on our social media page earlier this week, and it was interesting because the way I posted it, it was as though I was asking the members of TRTA and the people who were reading this, do you support the defined benefit plan? And I started looking back at those responses, and people started giving me all the reasons why they supported the defined benefit plan. I thought that was awesome. We want to know what our elected officials think now. So that's a really important question, and we're going to make sure that y'all have an opportunity to ask it. So follow up on that question is, will you commit to working with TRTA on any proposal or idea that may impact the TRS and the retirement security or structure it provides to all participants? We want to make sure you support it. If somebody's got an idea that they want to change it in some way, are you going to work with us to make sure that it is vetted? All right, another question under protecting TRS. Are you in favor of closing the defined benefit fund for current retirees and requiring all new employees to enter a separate defined contribution or hybrid style plan like has been implemented for our state employees back in 2021? Please note that the members of the TRTA do not support any policy changes that would end the traditional defined benefit plan for TRS members. This includes retired, active, or future education workforce professionals. Now, are we saying what the state did for ERS back in 2021 was not correct? We're not saying that at all. The legislature worked with the members of the ERS to create a structure to help sustain that program long term. And they created a hybrid system, which included the annuitization of a contribution system. The thing that we always go back to when you're comparing the state employees retirement system and the teacher retirement system in Texas is that the state employees retirement system is fully coordinated and has been for years and years and years, decades, with the Social Security system. And 95% of all school districts today still are outside of the Social Security fund. Now, we get to the federal side of this, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. But even though people are out there qualifying for Social Security based on their spousal work history or other work history outside of TRS, if all they have is TRS work history, which is half of all current retirees, they will not get Social Security. So saying that we're going to create some hybrid system under the current structure does not encourage TRTA to say, yeah, we're in favor of making any changes. So for us, we believe the current structure is correct. We want to maintain the defined benefit plan. We want our elected officials to tell you whether or not they feel the same way. So that's why these questions are there. Let's go to our next session, and it is about inflation impacting TRS retirees and helping offset this impact. This is the question that so many of our retirees want to know the answer to. I was on the phone with somebody else today, and we were talking about the cost of living. Holy cow. Unbelievable how much things are costing. I know we have been successful in this area. We've made some big changes. The legislature has done a lot of great work. Inflation continues to outpace what we in Texas have been able to design to help retirees deal with inflation. It is not TRTA against the legislature. It is TRS. It is the legislature. It's the governor. It's the Texas Retired Teachers Association. All of those groups playing their part to find ways to help people mitigate the impact of inflation that is so detrimental to retirees that are on fixed incomes. You cannot go to the grocery store. You cannot go to a restaurant. You cannot go to a fast food place. You cannot go to the post office. You cannot go to the gas station. You can't go any place that is wanting your money for a good or service without recognizing how much inflation has affected everyone. And even since the major changes and the truly appreciated legislative activities in 2023, Prop 9, cost of living adjustment, the stipend, inflation has just continued to hammer the American dollar. And so we're coming into this legislative session knowing that we are laser focused on protecting our defined benefit plan, but we also know that we need to work with the legislature in any reasonable way to try to mitigate some of the pressure that's being exerted on retirees with inflation. So that's what this section is all about. All right, Roy, I think I'm looking at the camera and not looking at the screen to know when you're on me and when not. So I'm going to try to do a better job. So you're on these questions. All right. You'll see some background here. And again, that's for y'all to have. Go to question 1. Well, let scroll right there. That's fine, Roy. Right there. That's all right. Right there, that very last it says, on average, TRS retiree pensions are still 30% behind cumulative inflation. This is after we've had the increases from 2023. It's after the stipends. It is the legislature did everything they could in 2023. The voters came out and supported us. Retired teachers, retired school employees, TRTA members got the vote out. What we did not know is that the economy would continue to hammer us as hard as it has. This is not a criticism, it's just reality. So, going into the 90th legislative session, will you support initiatives that may use state budget surpluses or the economic stabilization funds to provide any possible benefit enhancements to offset the effects of inflation on retirees' fixed incomes? We're painting a broad brush here. Let me just go through this. There's only 3 questions, then I'll come back and talk about it. Will you work with TRTA to sponsor legislation that helps TRS retirees with the recommended benefit enhancement? Really a good one. And will you commit to meeting with legislative leadership expressing your strong interest in helping TRS retirees with a benefit enhancement in the 90th legislative session? Okay, Roy, let's talk about this for a second. Question 1 is all about, will you use the tools in the tool chest to try to fix this problem that we're experiencing? If not fix it, but to make it a little better, the problem with inflation. What are the tools that they have in the tool chest? Well, we already know they have the tool of a cost of living adjustment. That's always preferred because once you make a cost of living adjustment, it permanently increases that retirement benefit. It's very expensive to do. It has both an immediate cost and an ongoing cost for the retirement system. They're expensive. They're a heavy lift, but they're also always the preferred method of trying to help retirees. Many states and the Social Security Fund they use ongoing cost of living adjustments built into the retirement benefits. But those state pensions that have these are oftentimes underfunded, and they create a huge funding problem. And so what the legislature did in 23 was they pre-funded it. Great way to handle it. Could they do something like that again in the coming legislative session? Perhaps. We are starting to hear more and more it's going to be a much tighter budget scenario. But we're going to ask the legislature to look at their tool chest and see what other options they have. What other options they have? They have the COLA. We've talked about a 13th check. The cost of the monthly payroll cost for TRS is over $1 billion. So if you were to do one additional check and the legislature were to use money from the ESF or the rainy day fund, it's kind of the same thing. We call the Economic Stabilization Fund is sort of the technical name. Rainy day fund is sort of the day-by-day name, the one that everybody uses. If you take $1 billion out of the rainy day fund and you use it to pay for a 13th check for retirees, that's something that you can do. You can kind of figure out what that cost is. It's a one-time cost. Everybody receives an additional check. They can use it to help offset the cost of inflation. There are something we used last legislative session or in 2023 called a stipend. So the legislature went above the monthly amount. Sometimes they set a different direction. Sometimes they set a maximum amount that somebody could receive, and sometimes we call that a supplemental payment. It's not a full 13th check. It could be less. Sometimes it could be more. We tended to call those a stipend. So there are various tools, all of which have a cost. And so question 1 in this section is saying, hey, will you use budget surplus money? Will you use money that's in the piggy bank? Will you use the resources that you have to try to help retirees by funding some sort of benefit enhancement? The second question is a really important question. If you know your elected official, if your elected official has some years of experience and they've been in this process for a while, you may ask them, will you sponsor legislation? If you're the chair of a committee, or if you've been around for a while, if you got seniority, we'd really like to know which of our elected officials are going to put their hand up and say, hey, you know what? I will be your spear chucker. I'm going to be the one that's going to go to the legislature for you with my colleagues, and I'm going to file this bill as soon as I get there. Matter of fact, I'm going to file this bill through legislative council before I ever show up. So if you've got an elected official that's willing to do that, we'd love to know that. And then third, the question we have in this section is, will you go to the leadership and tell them, hey, this session, a priority for me is we got to help our retired school employees. I know we did something back in 2023. It's now 2027. Some of those folks, they didn't get anything. A lot of them got something. A lot of them got, a little bit. Some of them got a little bit more. But all of them are still behind inflation. Inflation just is the enemy. And so this session, I want to do something for those folks. And if you are the Speaker of the Texas House, and you know that 149 other members of the legislature have all showed up in your office and said, hey, I got a list here of 5 things I really want to work on this session. And one of those is let's help the retired school employees. Let's work with TRTA and get something like that done. That's a pretty powerful thing. So we're asking, will they go to leadership and will they have that conversation? Same in the Senate. Fewer members, same principle. Let's see if we can get those folks committed to doing that this early on before we even show up in Austin next January. All right. Next section. I'm checking all of my posts. Lots of folks are tuning in here. Mary Widmeyer is our legislative coordinator. I'm glad she's here. She's watching on YouTube. Karen Holzer is on our board. She is here. Lots of TRTA members. Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in and watching this show. Really appreciate it. We're going to keep going. Continue to put your comments in there. Roy's going to try to answer any of them that he can, or I've got staff members who will come back and deal with that later. But we want to keep going through those questions. Roy, let's go to the next section that we have on the questions. This is about funding and pinch fund health. So we have some background here on pension funding health. The TRS fund is currently considered actuarially unsound due to what was really a necessary thing to do. Back in 2025, the legislature voted to give our active school employees a raise finally, which is awesome. But when they got the raise, there was a cost that was passed on to TRS, and hey, everybody's going to make a little bit more money. That's going to cause the liabilities of the retirement system to go up. Some of those folks are not going to retire 30 years in the future. Some are going to retire in the next 2 or 3 years. That liability is going to be unexpected on the system. We need to pay for that. Well, the legislature said, hey, come back and talk to us about that next time. So that's what these questions are about. We're coming in to this session, and that's why we can say confidently, this is going to be a TRS session. TRS is not actuarially sound. And it's not because the markets took all the investment gains away. It's because we passed on liabilities to TRS, and the legislature said in 2025, hey, not this time, but next time. So we want to know that they're thinking about that. And so we've got some questions. Will you work with TRTA to seek out the association's input and being responsive to our professional team's recommendations to help ensure the TRS pension fund's actuarial soundness? In other words, will you work with TRTA to get us back to actuarial soundness? Number 2 under this section is about contributions. And this is a very touchy subject because everybody is looking for more resources. The question is, what is your position on increasing state contributions over time to ensure that TRS Texas is actuarially sound? Remains a great value for all taxpayers and continues to serve as an important component of workforce retention and retirement security for all TRS members. The state legislature sets the amount of contribution for the employers, for themselves, for the actives. And in the world TRTA lives in, we use a formula. And the formula is contributions plus investments equals the benefit. C plus I equals B. What the contributions are coming from the employer, the school districts, the state, a number of resources or revenue sources, and then the active members. And so those contributions plus the investment earnings equals the benefit we pay out. And right now, the amount of unfunded liability that we have means that the formula becomes imbalanced when we add another component to it. So C plus I equals B. The more advanced formula is C plus I equals B plus E. In other words, contributions plus investments equals the benefits plus expenses. Expenses equals inflation. So we need to ensure that our future cost of benefits is paid for. We also want to find a way to help limit the amount of effect that inflation is having on expenses for retirees. So we have a little bit of an imbalance right now, and we need to fix that. So that's what we're asking the legislature when it comes to 2027. Are you going to get the system back to actuarial soundness? How are you going to do that? Are you going to work with TRTA and our input and trying to make that accomplished? Okay, going back into the rest of this section. Question 3, will you commit to work with TRTA and legislative leadership before any changes may be made to TRS, its funding structure, its long-term funding outlook? We just want to make sure that all of these elected officials and prospective elected officials, whatever they may hear or whatever ideas they come up with, will they be continuing to talk to TRTA? Will TRTA be able to work with you and seek your help if the association does not have a seat at the table when it comes to TRS issues in the Texas legislative session? This is one of those questions that if you know this elected official or the person seeking office, you know them kind of well, and you say, hey, listen, can I come to you that if for some reason the TRTA members feel as though we're being ignored, will you go to the leaders and say, hey, the folks in my district are saying we're not listening to the association that they trust the most when it comes to the issues that are the most important to them. They don't feel like they got a seat at the table. And I think we ought to do that. And so it doesn't happen very often, but from time to time, we have to pull in our friends to go and see leaders and say, hey, are we talking to TRTA about this? So that's an important question. All right. Here's one that I'm sure is probably not going to be thought very highly of the folks that are working in higher ed, but we have some imbalances in contributions right now. And essentially what our objective is when it comes to contributions is that we can all work together to find out where those imbalances are and then develop a plan to ensure that there are no longer imbalances. Some employers, higher ed is a good case. You may have some people who work in higher ed and their employer is paying less for the same benefit than what a school district is paying. And that doesn't seem fair. And so if we're going to have parity on benefits and we want to find ways to ensure that our pension system is solvent, then I think it's time the legislature looks at where those funding imbalances are and they work to mitigate them. Maybe the legislature wants to put more money in and hold the higher ed folks harmless. Maybe they want to do that for districts. Maybe they want to find a different way to fund that through charter schools. The bottom line is that right now, somebody always pays. Part of the problem with having funding imbalances for our defined benefit plan and our TRS is that so long as they exist and when we don't have an actuarially sound system, the group that pays are the retirees. The retirees pay by not being able to receive any form of benefit enhancements when the system isn't solvent. And so we've got to work together to ensure that the system is balanced on contributions, that we mitigate any potential problems that exist with those contributions, that we have strong funding principles, however that gets paid. The easiest way to say it is let the state legislature increase its contribution to TRS. Everybody probably agrees with that, generally speaking, except maybe people in the legislature who are writing the budget. But when we don't have a strong funding structure, the group that pays are the retirees by not receiving adjustments. Prior to what we did in 2023, you had people who had gone 20 years without getting any cost of living increase. And the legislature said at the time, we should never let that happen again. Not our words, words of people in the legislature. People should not go that long period of time without getting some kind of offset to the inflation pressure that exists when you're on a fixed income. We're going to do that. We got to find a way to make sure that our system's solvent. So that series of questions that we have in that section talks about the fairness of contributions. And if the state wants to take it on and they want to, find ways to lower those implications for the employers, great. That's fine. Let them do that. But let's get there together. Let's all work together to figure that out. All right. The final question is that, Roy, you don't need to go back to the questions. The final question in that section was about, do you support an annual state study or survey that reports on the effects of inflation on education retirees? This has been a longstanding discussion in the legislature. Every year we get a bill that gets filed that says, hey, TRS, you study a lot of stuff, but you don't tell us how much inflation has affected retirees. Will you do a study on inflation affecting retirees? And we're trying to find a way that is going to always get done. And we're going to try to push that in this coming legislative session as well. All right. I'm 45 minutes into this. I've got 2 more sections to go. I'm going to try to go a little faster. Healthcare benefits funding, Roy, is where we are. Let's click onto that. We provide a little background on TRS Care. Essentially, TRS Care has been well managed. It has got, it is, because of the effective management, it has had some decreases in premiums for retirees that are 65 and over. It's got it's better financial health than what it's been in years and years. Doing great. And essentially what we're asking here is, do you support maintaining, protecting the TRS care by fully funding the current statutory contribution rates for the state, the ISDs, the active school members? And will you commit to working with TRTA to secure funding for TRS care that ensures high quality healthcare benefits, including rehabilitation services, and keeping healthcare accessible and affordable without raising premiums? So the first question is making sure that the state does not look at our TRS care and say, wow, TRS care looks really healthy. Maybe we should cut funding to it. Sometimes that happens. It did not happen last session. We have some really committed, strong leaders who write the budget, and they know that if they start cutting funding to TRS care, it creates a really wobbly system that many of them worked to ensure was stable. So we don't want somebody coming in here and saying, hey, let's go and change this and decrease funding. It's doing great. Let's keep that funding. And then the second question is about making sure that this program functions in a way that provides high quality health care. Probably the biggest complaint that I've had on TRS care over the last 2 years is that retirees are telling me that services, rehab services are being denied. Now, many times we work with those members, we work with TRS, we work with the providers, and we find out that it is a coding problem. And you're in a situation where you need rehab, the doctor codes it on the paperwork wrong, and somebody has to go back and fix it. And TRS does a great job of working with those folks to try to see if that is the case. So what we're asking the legislature is keep an eye with us on this, make sure that those providers are doing the job that they need to do, and make sure that the TRS Healthcare Fund is a high quality product that members can rely on. I can confidently say today that we believe that it is. Now, it could be rehab, it could be prescription drugs, it could be, any form of service under TRS care. So that's we would like those experts that are, especially the doctors and the budget writers, to really keep a sharp eye on this area so that retirees are healthy in the retirement security formula. So, all right, that is a wrap on our state questions. I'm going to hit you with our congressional questions. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how on live video to be able to take a drink of water so that my voice doesn't go out on me and I don't look rude by doing it. I don't have water in front of me, so I'm just going to keep going. Roy, I'm just going to keep going. Let's talk about our congressional candidate questions. There's some background there. You can take a look about the success that we've had about GPO and WEP and protecting that. First question is, would you support exempting the retroactive payment that was made from the federal income taxes from federal income taxes by providing a special public servant tax deduction credit in the 2026 tax year? We had a bill filed on this by our very good friend, Congressman Lance Gooden. He is still very interested in working with his congressional members to potentially create a tax credit for people who will be affected or have been affected by receiving their WEP and GPO payout. Probably not something that the Congress is thinking about right now, based on everything that I listen to when I hear these congressional members talk. If we don't see this happen, can we get a coalition of support to pass in the future and try to get you a tax credit in a tax year that will benefit you? So that's an important question. We want every congressional delegate member to say yes to that question. Second question is about the GPO. Many people who receive their survivor payout or their benefit payout under the GPO, they only got it for 6 months. TRTA believes that a lot of those folks were eligible to receive it for a much longer period of time. We want the Congress to go back and fix this. I believe, as do members of the congressional delegation in Texas, that the Social Security Administration set their own rules that it was not in the spirit of the repeal of the weapon GPO. And we want them to go back and give anybody who did not get their full payout under the GPO the dollars back. And so if we have to file legislation on that and get it through Congress, that's our intention. We've been working with Social Security Administration on trying to find a way to do that. Those conversations seemingly have broken down, and now we think we're going to have to take action through the Congress to get that to happen. The third question is a really important question, is will you protect this change in law if opponents attempt to reintroduce some type of offset for public servants and government entities that do not participate in Social Security? This issue is called mandatory Social Security. We do not want the Congress to repeal anything related to what we achieved by getting rid of weapon GPO. We don't want anybody to try to claw back benefits that have been paid out. We don't want them to try to put them back into place on current retirees. And then the question number 4 was, will you work with TRTA to make sure that you do not have the complete reinstitution of WEP and GPO 2.0, or that you support mandatory Social Security, telling the state of Texas that you've got to take all your school districts and take 12.4% of payroll from the school district and the member to now send to the Social Security system. TRTA is a part of a coalition, a national coalition. I'm on the board of this national coalition. And the cutting to the chase, the idea of telling all school districts, all other government entities across the country that you now have to pay in the Social Security system because you repealed the weapon, the GPO, this idea of mandating Social Security, that doesn't do anything to the bottom line of the Social Security Trust Fund. It would absolutely have a detrimental impact on our public pension plans for all future retirees. So we want our congressional delegation here in Texas to say, hey, listen, we're going to safeguard our public pension plans. We're going to safeguard the repeal of the weapon, the GPO, and we're going to fix Social Security funding in a way that is not going to undermine our public servants. So those are the questions. It's a lot, as I told you earlier, 53-minute worth of discussion. You do not have to use all of them. You can decide which ones you think are going to be best for your elected officials in your area. My 2 major requests when you use these questions. Number 1, if you're designing a packet of questions for the people running for office in your area, make sure you give the same questions to both candidates. Don't omit questions that you gave from one candidate to the other. Don't give more questions to the other one. A lot of you were in HR. When you're wanting to be fair, ask everybody the same questions. Let them have an opportunity to answer the same questions. The second thing that I would ask is that once you have answers to these questions, make sure that we get them. Make sure that we know what those answers are so that we can work with these folks when the elections are over and the prevailers, the elected officials, we have something to go by when it comes to their answers. Now, y'all probably done this before. We don't bombard legislators. We don't go on social media and we don't blast them. You know, we want this process to be clean and fair and transparent. And honestly, I'd like it to be a little fun. You know, we'd like for these legislators to have a very good impression of our association and how we do business. So make it fun, make it focused, make it fair, and find a way to use it to the best of your ability. So, Roy, am I leading or leaving anything out in this conversation? Anything that you've seen in the chat that you think I need to answer right now?
So the most common question is, where do we get these questions? And so we have a response on the YouTube side from Mary, and she says that they've been emailed to the board of directors, the district presidents, and each district's legislative chair. My question to you, Tim, is this: I've got them in this PDF as we've been sharing. Would you like me to share a link to them for the chat? I could just post it in chat that it's like, posted on our website essentially.
You know what, Roy? This has been a great place to do a survey. We could have had a live survey.
Yeah.
Do our members want us
Yes.
to post the questions?
I can make
No.
a
We're
poll,
going
but
to.
it'll take a second.
The answer is yes. We want to give these
Yes.
questions to our
Okay.
members. So if you want to
Perfect.
put them on our website and put a link to them,
Yep. I've got
go ahead and do it.
that, and I'm posting that in chat right now. So that is going to be posted on both Facebook and YouTube in the chat. So it's really simple. It's www.trta.org/candidate hyphen questions. So if you click on that link in chat, or you just type that into your web browser, that'll get you to the document. Okay.
Yep. All right. Final comment. Not final. Let's just say the final comment on this. When you're doing this, when you're working on it, when you're getting to know these folks, remember, it is not even June. So we're getting this out there for y'all to have it, to study it, to think about it, to organize, make a plan as a chapter, make a plan as a district. Let's go through this process. Let's work together. Our district presidents are going to be meeting in June. It's going to be a big focus for them. As I said earlier, I'm going to be talking to our chapter presidents. This is information purposes, and we're going to work with all of you over the next several days, months, weeks to get this accomplished. We want our elected officials to count on us as a trusted resource. So let's have a plan. Let's make sure that people know what they are able to get accomplished. And let's stay open in our communication. Now, Roy, it's Memorial Day weekend.
It is.
So I want to wish all of our members a very happy Memorial Day. Memorial Day, of course, is a reflection and a remembrance for all of those who have fallen serving our country through the various conflicts that we've had. And so to all of you TRTA members who have served, to those of you who have family members who have served, and especially to those of us who remember our family members who have served and not come home, we want to say to all of you, thank you. Happy Memorial Day. And we look forward to our conversations next week. And enjoy your weekend. Y'all have a great time. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.